Welcome to Fair's Fair, where we're always alliterating annoying announcements. And stopping this gag, because the writer's tired of writing them, the voice actor's tired of voicing them, and the editor's sick of listening to them. So today's video is going to be about Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Particularly, the absolute insane competition between the two. There is an entire cult of almost religious zealotism declaring that Fallout 4 is so much worse than Fallout 3, which I have trouble with. How so? Well, let's look. When you're talking about the two games, there's some pretty glaring obvious differences. First of all, the power armor is not something you simply slap onto your body, but more of a thing that you get into, which makes a bit more sense. But on the other hand, it really added something to the game as a whole in Fallout 4 because, especially in harder difficulties, it meant that I actually had to decide whether or not I needed it. Fusion cores didn't grow on trees, and unlike ammo, you can't buy it anywhere, so it really came down to whether or not you wanted to bring it with you, or whether or not you needed it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I managed to complete both of them without using the power armor in either game, so I don't see this as a major issue on normal difficulty, which most people play on. Maybe if you're a glutton for punishment and like to play on hard, then yeah. But that's only if your masochistic side comes out like mine does. You know, play some Dark Souls, hardcore Minecraft, and then end up leaving your dog alone, sitting in your house, constantly waiting for you to get back, but you died and you can't reload the world, and there's nothing you can do to get back to him. You fucking monster. But anyway, aside from the standard things of ammo and indeed the power armor, there's also a lot of talk about writing. You know, the aetherist writing that everyone talks about whenever they don't like something. It's almost always the writing is bad. I'm noticing a trend about that. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're in a vault. Your family member leaves the vault. You leave the vault to go find your family member. This leads you through an adventure that takes you through every conceivable group that is vying for control over the area you happen to be in, and individually trying to accomplish a goal about that area. You then eventually find your missing family member, and there's some twist where they're involved in some major world-changing thing, and you have to either help them complete it or help them destroy it, over which faction you want to side with. And then they die because it's hard to write the kind of family dynamic you'd have after that kind of event, and they want to wrap the story up clean. Now, this might sound familiar from Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 because they're the same thing. There's very little difference in the writing of the original storyline. The main quest was never why we liked either games, because the writing in Fallout games is not all that good on a primary basis. What's great in the Fallout games is the world. The world is what we love. All those little audio logs, those tiny terminals full of information, the little games hiding here and there, all these tiny notes and all of the storytelling, like a naked skeleton wearing a dog collar in a doghouse. That's a great piece of narrative storytelling. That man died doing what he loved. Being a kinky bastard. Should we all hope to go in such similar means? But it is all those things around that made the stories great. The original stories, the primary quest, was never that interesting. They weren't all that good writing-wise in either game. I'm not sure what people are talking about there. If we're talking about characters that I cared about and remembered the names about, I remembered Valentine long after I forgot everyone else from either game, so if we're handing out medals for that, it goes to Fallout 4 because I liked Valentine. But it's weird that it's considered such a different game, when the story's pretty much the same, the amount of writing is just the same, all that world that we love is just the same. Not the same, it's different enough that you want more because there's more lore, more different things, and those fun little bits about the soulless corporations abusing people, usually just for product development, in frankly inhumane ways. Not that I agree with that in any way, shape, or form. After all, the corporations love us and care for us and allow us to exist. Is he gone? Okay, good. It's just weird that this is the thing that people focus on. There's also the fact that VATS doesn't pause in Fallout 4 where it does in Fallout 3. Relatively minor change. You can still pause the game by entering into a menu and consuming your entire body weight in frozen dinners, but that's just Bethesda. And you know how they be. Which brings us to the DLC, which is pretty much the same in either one. It's a few major quests with side quests around it, maybe some new areas. That's just all DLC is for Bethesda. That's all it is in all Bethesda games ever, across every platform. However, in the Elder Scrolls series, the platform does actually change a bit from Oblivion to Skyrim, because the stories are, well, pretty noticeably different and introduce entire separate mechanics around it. But there are separate mechanics in Fallout 4, particularly the ability to customize your weapon, so you don't have to, you know, hope that the raider you just killed had the particular type of shotgun you were looking for, or that one sniper scope with that particular caliber of ammo that you've been seeing a lot of lately. You don't have to worry about any of that, because you can customize virtually any weapon into whatever you're looking for right off the bat. With the materials, of course. Can't make it free or else it'd just be overpowered. Something that I would definitely point in its favor, because I very much like to keep an assortment of weapons on me with various ammo types and of the type that I like, without having to hope that I'll find something better along the way that fits the playstyle I want better. I can just customize it to the playstyle I want when I want it. But you can't print ammo, so, you know, that's different. But of course there's mods, so... But that's a point I never even understood, because I never needed ammo in Fallout 3, I never needed ammo in Fallout 4. I could just buy it. It's a Bethesda game. You end up being the powerhouse millionaire of the entire world inside of a few minutes, no matter what Bethesda game you're playing. Because virtually everything is worth something to everyone, and there's nothing stopping you from making 6 trips somewhere to loot everything worth money. So I don't really get the argument on the ammo press, like that's some major issue from Fallout 4. Get a mod if you're so attached to it. There's also the difference where you have to find particular unique weapons, like the Cryolator and the Shish Kebab, rather than building them at a workbench, because the workbench has taken on a different role. I mean, you have to find the blueprint for it anyway, and then, you know, piece it together. So it's not really all that different, only now you're finding the actual weapon rather than the blueprint to build the weapon. So I'm not seeing a major difference there either. You still can't use the Shish Kebab while walking into a room full of gas, which is annoying. Realistic, but annoying. Especially since I didn't see it the first time it happened. But then we get to the real spike, the thing that for some reason really upset a lot of people. The building a township. And I'll hand it to you, the fact that a township can become under attack and need your help all on its own, and then expire as a quest all on its own, is a little bit annoying. It's distracting. I didn't want to be pulled away from what I was doing. Probably, maybe, I don't know. Depends on what I was doing. But overall, you don't have to build a township. You don't have to do any of it. None of it's required. None of it gives you enough of a boon that matters. Now, admittedly, there is that end quest, which, spoilers, you do have to build a teleporter, so I guess it is integral near the end, which is a bit grindy. So I can hand you that that is a bit annoying. But honestly, if you just throw junk into the workbench along the way, like I had been doing, it probably won't affect anything. It won't even slow you down in most cases. And again, you're usually a millionaire by then, so you could probably just, you know, buy the materials you need from a traveling trader. Or a variety of traders. But I'll hand you that. It is a bit annoying that they force you to build something with it. That's not necessarily a good idea. Or at least not build something so expensive. But it did, however, offer something I very much wanted. I wanted a place to display my 30 sets of power armor, my pile of really nice weapons that I don't use anymore, my assortment of different ammo type weapons that I carry with me everywhere because I'm not stupid and don't want to run out of any particular ammo. If you play smart, you don't run out of ammo, you don't need the ammo press. But more important than that, it offered a distraction and something that kept me interested in going out and collecting things throughout the game. I wanted to finish my house, I wanted to finish my display room, I wanted to set up all of my armor stands, I wanted to set up all the neat outfits I had put together on mannequins, I wanted to put all of my neatest and most unique weapons up on a wall so I could come back and look at them, put another bobblehead on the rack, put another magazine on the magazine rack, go out and form a bigger and badder collection of all this shit. It gave me a reason to just keep milling around before I had to turn to mods, which is something that you desperately needed. I even had all the mods I wanted in Fallout 3, and I finished that game. Like, done. I established a grid, walked back and forth, and checked every inch of that map. I cleared every building, every cave, did every quest that could be done. I finished Fallout 3 in one of my saves. And while that sounds like quite an accomplishment, that's actually a failure as a game that takes so long to come out with the next segment here. This is a game that builds itself off of mods and being replayable and/or playable continuously for a very long time. And with mods, you achieve that in most Bethesda games. Fallout 3 was the first one I ever felt done with, like I never wanted to go back, and I did this well before Fallout 4 came out. So with a release system like Bethesda's, where the next installment could come out anywhere from 20 to 30 years in the future, it's important that the game be able to be played for as long as possible without becoming tedious or boring. And the ability to build a bigger and better and amazing settlement and settle more settlements kept me busy, if nothing else, and that's what a game is supposed to do. Usually in an interactive and entertaining way that, the player has a part in. Too bad no one told that to Telltale Games. So overall, it actually accomplished that better than Fallout 3 did, despite the fact that it is pretty similar to 3. Same engine, pretty much the same plot, same world, which brings me to the only thing I could possibly question about it, which is it kind of feels just like Fallout 3 too, like an absurdly massive DLC for Fallout 3. It doesn't feel that different from Fallout 3. Yet with all the new content, I didn't mind going back into that kind of play style because I enjoyed the style of Fallout play. You could question if it was worth the 60 extra bucks to buy a whole new version of what is essentially Fallout 3 2, but I don't know, it seemed worth it to me, and it seems relatively hilarious that people get almost religiously protective of Fallout 3, insisting that it is so different that they're practically a different game. They aren't. They're not that different at all. And you're welcome to disagree with me. Go down to the comments, yell at me, scream at me. Just remember, if you did like the content, like, share, conform to the algorithm, and be entertainingly angry. Oh yeah, and Fallout 4 has considerably fewer children than Fallout 3, and therefore is defaultly better. Case closed.